It's your boy Matt here. Once again, having a couple of beers, having a rant. Now, this one goes out to a friend of mine, and former landlady, and also a person who's been a real pain in my ass. Like, I don't like making these videos. It's become part of my fucking job now, though, because, and I don't like it because it damages all the regular relationships I have, and I have to put out to the world like a fucking reality TV show all the issues I have with people in the community. And it's just because I'm a public figure, and when you're a public figure, uh, people come around you searching for social relevance, and people who have done nothing interesting with their lives at all, their association with me then becomes the most important fucking thing to them. Elisabeth, we're having a talk. Now, Elisabeth is an eccentric woman and she's my former landlady. She built a 2-story house and she rented out everything on the bottom story. She did a shoddy job of building it, but you'd never be able to tell her that because the most interesting thing she did with her life was getting a building license, and she used this to build her home, and she's tried to build a summer home. Her neighbours to the left, right and front have all made complaints to the council regarding her house and how she conducts herself. It's a flop house, it's low income housing, someone needs to do it, but just not Elisabeth, someone else. And what happens is that she does weird shit like putting treated pine in the fireplace and poisoning the air for all of us. So she's got multiple complaints from the EPA, and neighbours on both sides of her have made complaints about numerous issues. She's an eccentric woman. And the tendency that I have with these things is I see people as rainbows and not roadblocks. I have met so many eccentric people. Okay? I'm slightly eccentric. I tolerate this. I tolerate Elisabeth. I tolerate so much from Elisabeth. So much. She's not an easy person to live with. She is a very eccentric grandma kind of figure. Like, she's Finnish. I've tried to be polite about this, but she keeps fucking inserting herself into things and she keeps talking shit behind my back, and it's time for me to put the record straight and explain exactly what's going on with this crazy woman. Because she's crazy in the slightly adorable but actually kind of dangerous way. So, while living there, most of the people who live in that house are immigrants. And it's this very upstairs, downstairs thing. It reminded me so much of like medieval Europe, if I'm honest. We had the literal landlady who would keep coming down to our bottom story of the house, whether we wanted her there or not. And we're all very polite because we respect elderly people. And, for us, we're friends-ish. I wish I could still say I'm friends with Elisabeth, but she's behaved terribly. She would force friendships on us, and what she would do is that the fireplace is on the bottom story of the house because it's a finished design, so she'd come down, chuck those in. But then she'd do odd things like she'd go into our rooms and stuff. She didn't have any boundaries, and she never did a fucking house inspection. I don't think she knows how to be a landlady. And what would happen is that, like, the house was just falling apart. But to her, she took so much pride in having built it that the falling apart of the house was not something that we could really describe to her. And, to her, building this house was her crowning achievement. That and doing good at maths when she was in grade 6. She would tell us all the time because she didn't do anything else with her life. And that's fine. That's normal. The problem is that I'm the most interesting thing to fucking have ever happened to her. Right? That's the problem. That's where all my issues come from. Right? So she has Australia's Edward Snowden political figure living in her basement, who's a good friend of hers. I think I'm actually in her will. Like, again, this video isn't coming out of nowhere. Like, there's actually a large amount of affection between us, but it might be time to pull a plug on that because I've had enough of her talking shit. And what happens is that she will, like, I need to be, like, okay, so I end up becoming the cause of all her problems because I'm there all the time, and if there's anything she wants to associate with wrong with the house, I'm there, and she starts blaming me for it. So all the problems in the world that she has are apparently my fault. And it's a cognitive distortion. It became a processing thing. So, for example, she blamed me for never cleaning a shower or something, and then she said, "Oh, it's not just now; it was before." I know because Raghav, the former housemate, told me, "Is this like when you shared a shower with him?" And I was like, "I never shared a shower with that person." So she would actually have these cognitive distortions where the way that she perceived the world changed such that every problem was a result of me, and she'd start slotting that in there. Sort of like how people say the devil made me do it. Okay? And it was just the strangest thing. And because there's a housing crisis, and because most of the people I'm living with are immigrants and don't have too many options about where we live, I don't have an option about where I live because I'm held in poverty intentionally. I'm under surveillance. I can't do job interviews. It's all been a lot, okay? I had the absolute shit kicked out of me. I broke. My family treated me terribly, and the workers' comp didn't come through. At the worst period of my life, I'm laying flat with this woman who's using me as a means of lifting herself up by diminishing me and making me less and less and less. There's something that Hegel talks about called the slave and master. I'm not sure what the category philosophically of what it is, but the idea is that slave master paradigm, I guess. The idea is that for the master to feel as if he's the master and situate himself in society, he needs a slave beneath him to justify to make him have his position, and the slave needs to see him in a certain set of ways and behave in a certain set of ways such that he maintains these orientation in social space. And for Elisabeth, she uses me as sort of that slave. I'm the person who allows her to live in narrative fantasies about her being a caring and good person and that somehow she was caring for me or something. She didn't care. She wasn't doing that. Like, I had very little to do with her in all seriousness. She would, I never did hard drugs. I never did anything terrible. And except for her, I exist as something to complain about and for her to get attention. So what she does is that she complains about me to her friends, and she'll make a story like, "Oh, there's this guy I was caring for in my house," or something. It's like, no, you had a person who was a whistleblower who was dealing with harassment from the authorities and the government living in your house, right? And during that time, what you did is that you harassed him, right? And the place was fucking falling apart, and she'd try to do everything she could to milk more money out of us. So, for example, she had this other room which had a broken air conditioner, and nothing fucking worked, and she was asking us to pay like $300, like a week or something. It was I'm not sure the exact amount, but it was like a ridiculous amount for this fucking broken room. And when the interest rates got up, she'd like rub her hands and she'd smile. Like, she's like, "Oh, I'm going to raise the rent." And it was just the most, like, there are these characters in literature. I'm trying to remember the Pound of Flesh, the Merchant of Venice, the Shakespeare thing. Like, there's this character, and like the stereotypical characters for these evil Jewish men who like who like a predatory businessman. She kind of fits that description. She's one of these like comical characters, and except the worst thing is that she wasn't smart about it or anything. It was just she happened to have means. She was lucky enough to grow up in a time where she was able to get money to buy these things because life was just so much easier back then. And you didn't need to be smart. You didn't need to work hard. You just needed to fucking exist, and you'd end up owning two homes. And the crazy thing is that we existed to pay off her second holiday home. That's why she was renting all this out. So we would have to deal with these strange abuses from this woman who was complaining about all the problems she was having, building her fucking holiday house while she's fucking going into our rooms and abusing me and using me as something to increase her social relevance. And it was just this strange behavior. And she did this. She was just looking for relevance. So, for example, she got this fucking like Scientologist kind of healthcare device. It had like these two handles, and you would hold onto it and would tell you what minerals in your body you needed to make sure you were healthy, right? And it was obviously bogus, but she was just so proud to have certified in it, and she'd like pass it around and make us do all these readings, so she'd then get her social, like, so then she could feel special, and that she was some kind of healthcare practitioner. But really it was just a complete con. It was so obviously she was being conned. I felt like I needed to call up her daughter, but her daughter never called, and I understand why. Like, I became friends with her grandson and granddaughter, and I wished them well. And I wish I still wished Elisabeth well, but she's behaved really shittily here, hasn't she? And the strangest thing is that, like, I had a legal prescription for weed, which was totally fine. Like, her granddaughter was fucking smoking the shit in the garage next door. Like, everyone could smell it and see it, except everything for her is an opportunity for her to increase her social relevance and for her to complain about things and to make her, like, feel like she's been mistreated so she gets more attention. And it's just that. It is just that. She just needs to feel social relevance and attention. She had a celebrity. She had a famous political figure in her house. And this is the most interesting thing which has happened to her in her entire fucking life, right? And so she talks all kinds of weird shit. Apparently I can't cook. I used to work in the fucking kitchen, lady. I used to work at Hog's Breath Cafe. I can fucking cook, right? Like, but apparently I don't have any technical skills. Bitch, right? I have technical skills up the wazoo. Right? I'm just living in poverty, and I'm not able to get work because I'm under surveillance all the fucking time, right? You had a hero, you had a fucking whistleblower in your house, right? And instead of assisting them and helping them get back on their feet, which I wouldn't have even expected of you, what you did instead is that you found ways to increase your social relevance by bad-mouthing them, gossiping about them, making stories to the point that you end up having cognitive distortions and can't actually tell the fact from fiction with your experiences with me. And all of this weird shit. You've never been abused by me, right? You've been, Elisabeth, you behaved very sillily, right? And because you're an old lady, there's all of this grace people give you. And there's all this sympathy you get just for being an old lady. And what you've done is that you've used this sympathy to be able to behave really badly to get more attention and more social relevance. And it's been quite obnoxious behavior, and it's had consequences because you've provided misinformation to the police, right? And I've had to deal with undercover cops and weird things while living in your place, right, whilst being abused by you. So people will say, hey, at the dedication of the front of the book, they'll say, I dedicate this to all the people who supported me. I couldn't have done it without them. My book's going to say, fuck all of you. I did this in spite of the support. Thank you for the participants in Tarco. Thank you for my liaisons and captains. But fuck everyone who pretended to be my friend or was a family member during the worst periods of my life. Um, but yeah, that's the rant. Sorry, Elizabeth, but fuck you. You're a crazy old bitch. Being polite about it, it's inappropriate. You are terrible. I wish if things had been different and you behaved better, we'd still be friends, but we're definitely not friends anymore. You're kind of a cunt. Alright? See you later. Don't have a good one, Elizabeth. You're a bitch.